Hey, Johan, great to see you. Just love to jump right into it here. So how do you see European organizations impacted by data sovereignty requirements?
So listen, we all know that digital is taking over in a big way. And over the last 10 years, we've also realized the value of data. Not just the value of data, but also the fact that it can do damage to us. So over the last few years, Europe and of course a lot of other countries have come up with a lot of new different laws to protect individuals, privacy, and of course a bunch of other things related to business. I think everybody's heard of GDPR at this point, and it is Europe's big law as far as privacy goes and making sure that privacy is adhered to in a way that protects all the citizens. This July, something very large happened, or a big thing happened. July 16th, the Court of Justice of the European Union, which is our highest court, actually invalidated what's called Privacy Shield. So Privacy Shield is something that we've had between the EU and the US to allow for data to be transferred over to the US. And the fact that that was invalidated, it means that just about no US-based service today is legal for European companies to have any type of what's called PII data, personal data. And that has, of course, created havoc in a big way in Europe today. Of course, it's something that's been growing during the years as well, right? So at this point, Europe is in a pickle. We cannot adhere to our own laws. And at the same time, we've grown monopolies or oligopolies over here in the sense that Europe has not come out with its own infrastructure services. We've kind of fallen back to a few big global players, and we're stuck in that situation. So sovereignty is becoming critically important in the sense, both from having choice and not being dependent on one or two companies for their things, as well as, of course, long-term innovation for Europe as a whole.
Wow. So how does open source and open infrastructure fit into all of this?
Well, listen, there's a lot of ways that open source helps in and around it. For me, it comes down to choice. Whether choice of vendor that you want to run a specific type of workload, or technology, for example, like 5G, where potentially you want to have control and be able to run it the way you want to. So open source allows you to do it your way. And it, of course, allows you to do more than you can do by yourself. There are technical advantages. If you imagine federation becomes easier, we all talk about multi-cloud and so forth. Or just wanting transportability of data becomes easier as well. And if you look at one step further, governments have not been so heavily involved in open source, but we see that changing now as well, because again, it's really the only way that countries can start building services in any type, shape, or fashion that competes with some of these bigger players and can keep up with innovation that's needed within in a country today to stay relevant.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So another question I wanted to ask, I've heard about this thing called GAIA-X. Can you tell us a bit about what is that?
Yeah, sure. So GAIA-X is an initiative that started in Germany, and it really comes down to wanting to create a framework that allows services to be created, infrastructure services to be created in an open way and a collaborative way, but also then based on European values and European laws. Coming back to this whole thing of having these few players kind of taking over the market completely, Europe is looking to see how can we create less dependency. And the idea is, of course, if you can come up with a better standardized, vetted type of stack, it will allow more companies to create something in an easier fashion. And also standardizing the regulatory side also becomes easier for companies to create those types of services, because Europe is looking to make sure that it's not just one or two players that compete. So France joined into this effort as well, and now lots of other European companies are doing the same, and therefore we also believe that governments are going to get into the business of open source because it's a good thing for the citizens.
Great. Well, thank you so much, Johan. Very informative as always. Thank you.
Thanks so much.